Our Earth's natural satellite. Why does the moon shine? The full moon is the brightest heavenly body in the night sky. The moon shines by reflecting sunlight, as it does not produce its own light. It appears nearly the same size as the sun because it is much closer to Earth, despite being smaller than the sun. The moon is approximately 384,400 km away from the Earth. The surface of the moon. The moon's surface is rough and uneven, composed of great plains and huge mountains. Big, round hollows called craters are present on the moon. Craters are formed when meteorites strike the moon's surface. The moon's surface is scarred with millions of craters. The rocks brought back by astronauts reveal the moon's surface is covered with dark gray dust. The moon is approximately 4,500 million years old, sharing the same age as Earth. There is no life on the moon. Earth's atmosphere absorbs strong solar heat during the day and prevents heat escape at night, protecting from dangerous radiations and meteors. There is no air or water on the moon, preventing life from existing there. The moon's gravity is 1/6 of Earth's, allowing for easier lifting of heavy objects. Without an atmosphere, the moon's surface lacks protection from the sun's intense rays. The side of the moon facing the sun is extremely hot, while the side away from the sun is too cold to support life. In the absence of air, no sound can be heard on the moon. The sky is always bleak without clouds, making it a lonely and silent place devoid of animals, plants, or lakes. Landing on the moon. The American spacecraft Apollo 11 successfully landed on the moon on the 21st of July 1969. Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin were the first to step on the moon's surface. The third astronaut, Michael Collins, remained in the spacecraft to orbit the moon and maintain communication with Earth. Phases of moon. The different shapes of the moon, as visible from the Earth, are called its phases. The shape during a particular phase depends on the lighted part that can be seen by us at a time on Earth. Eclipses of the moon and the sun. An opaque object is one through which light cannot pass. When light falls on an opaque object, its shadow is formed. The Earth and the moon are opaque objects. When the sun's light falls on the Earth and the moon, their shadows are formed and they play hide and seek. Eclipses are nothing but the shadows of the Earth and the moon. The moon revolves around the Earth. At times during this journey, the moon moves into the dark shadow of the Earth and does not receive any sunlight. This phenomenon, when the moon gets hidden from view, is called an eclipse of the moon or lunar eclipse. When the moon is completely in the shadow of the Earth, it is a total lunar eclipse. When the moon is only partly hidden by the shadow of the Earth, it is a partial lunar eclipse. When the moon comes out of the shadow of the Earth, the eclipse is over and the moon can be clearly seen. At the time of the eclipse, the sun, the Earth and the moon are in a straight line. A lunar eclipse occurs only at night. Just as the earth casts a shadow on the moon also casts a shadow on the earth. When people in the shadow of the moon cannot see the sun, it is an eclipse of the sun or a solar eclipse. Fig. 5.5. When the sun is completely hidden behind the shadow of the moon, it is a total solar eclipse. When the shadow of the moon hides only a part of the sun, it is a partial solar eclipse. At the time of the eclipse, the sun, the moon and the earth are in a straight line as shown in Fig. 5.5. Once the moon moves out of the line, the eclipse is over and we can see the sun again. A solar eclipse occurs only during the day. You should not look at a solar eclipse with naked eyes. It can harm your eyes. The moon and the tides. Although the moon's gravity is very weak, it has a noticeable effect on the earth. It pulls the water of the seas and oceans of the earth, causing tides. Since the moon is closer to the earth than the sun, the moon's pull on the water is stronger than that of the sun. The water of the seas and oceans, on the side of the earth facing the moon, is attracted upwards. This attraction causes the sea level to rise and form high tide. Another high tide occurs on the opposite side of the earth because of its rotation. In the region between the two high tides, the water level falls and forms low tide. Fact-wise, the pull of the moon does not only pull the sea up and down. This tidal effect can also distort the continents, pulling land up and down by as much as 25 centimeters. The intensity of the tides vary with the phases of the moon. The highest tides occur at the time of the new moon and the full moon. Artificial satellites. Artificial satellites are human-made objects which revolve around the Earth just as the moon does. The space age began in 1957 when the first human-made satellite, Sputnik 1, was launched to orbit in space by Russian, then USSR, scientists. Since then thousands of satellites have been sent into space by different countries. On the 12th of April 1961, Major Yuri Gagarin of Russia became the first man in the world to go into space. Valentina Tereshkova of Russia was the first woman. On the 3rd of April 1984, Squadron leader Rakesh Sharma became India's first man to go into space. Who was the first Indian woman to go into space? Aryabhat, launched in 1975, was the first Indian satellite. Bhaskara I, Rohini, RSD, Apple, INS-81B, INS-82A, INS-82B, IRS-1A, OceanSat, Kalpana-1, EDUSAT, Saral and IRNSS-1A or some other Indian satellites. Satellites are used for a number of purposes, including sending messages, communication satellites, and television programs. Weather satellites take pictures of cloud movements for forecasting weather and giving early warnings of storms, cyclones, forest fires, floods or moving glaciers. Artificial satellites provide information about particular areas on Earth, including forestry data, groundwater data, and fishing areas. Uses of artificial satellites. A rocket is used to launch an artificial satellite into space. Artificial satellites were designed for scientific research and to give valuable information about the atmosphere. Space region beyond the atmosphere. Satellite, a body revolving around a planet in space. Eclipse, blocking of the view of sun or moon by the shadow of moon or earth. Tides, the periodic rising and falling of sea and ocean water. Artificial satellite, a human-made object, equipped with scientific instruments sent into space to orbit the Earth or another planet. Quick recap. The Moon is the Earth's closest neighbor in space. The Moon is the only natural satellite of the Earth. The surface of the Moon is covered with plains, mountains and huge craters. There is no life on the Moon as there is no air or water. When the shadow of the Earth hides the whole or a part of the Moon, a lunar eclipse occurs. When the shadow of the Moon hides the whole or a part of the Sun, a solar eclipse occurs. Tides are caused in the seas and the oceans due to the gravitational pull of the Moon. India has sent many artificial satellites into space from the year 1975 onwards. Artificial satellites are used to help in communication, weather forecasting and to get information about Earth and space.